welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 battle report brought to you by the Legion Wargaming. And today, amongst the ruins of this Imperial world, we witness a clash of two ancient enemies. The harvest fleets of the Necrontyr are moving through this sector, reclaiming their forgotten empire and re-establishing their unliving dynasty across these deserted systems. The Eldar, lacking the strength to take on the Necrons fleets in the void, are striking at the legions as they advance across the surface of these worlds. But will they be able to hold back the tide, or will they be crushed under the Necrons' relentless march? The battle today is 1,500 points, Necrons versus Eldar Craftworlds. The mission is Crusade with hammer and anvil deployment. Let's take a look at the armies. This 1,500 point Necrons army is Battleforged. It is a Decurion detachment and has as its core formation a Reclamation Legion led by a Necron Overlord. He is on a Catacomb command barge and he has the Void Reaper. He has brought plenty of warriors with him. He has one squad of 15 mounted in a Knight Scythe, a squad of 12 advancing on foot, and a squad of 10 mounted in a Ghost Ark. The Reclamation Legion also has 10 Immortals with Gauss Blasters and 3 Tomb Blades with Particle Beamers. As an auxiliary formation, this Necrons list also has a Canoptek Harvest, consisting of a Canoptek Spider, 3 Scarab Bases and 4 Wraiths with Whip Coils. There appear to be a lot of Necrons in this 1,500 point army. Let's take a look what the Eldar have brought along. This 1,500 point Eldar Craftworlds army consists of 3 formations, the first of which is a Seer Council, led by 2 Farseers, one of whom has a Singing Spear, and they have brought along 5 Warlocks, 4 of them have Singing Spears as well. The second formation is an Aspect Host, containing a squad of 6 Swooping Hawks led by an Exarch, a squad of 8 Warp Spiders led by an Exarch, and a squad of 5 Dark Reapers led by an Exarch, and they have Starshot missiles. The second formation is also an Aspect Host. This time they are mounted in armoured grav vehicles. The first squad is 6 Fire Dragons led by an Exarch. They are in a Wave Serpent with a Ghost Walk, Matrix and Twin Link Bright Lances. And then we have 2 squads each of 5 Dire Avengers, both led by Exarchs, and they are both mounted in Wave Serpents with Twin Link Bright Lances, and both of these Wave Serpents are also equipped with Ghost Walk Matrices. There do not appear to be too many Eldar in this list, especially compared to the vast legions of Necrons. Will they be able to hold back the tide? Let's see, moving into deployment. And the armies have deployed, and on their left flank and in the centre, the Necrons Reclamation Legion is marching forwards. Their far left, they have the Tomb Blades, and then 10 warriors in a Ghost Ark. 12 warriors are marching forwards towards this objective in the centre, and they are backed up by the Overlord on his command barge, who is following up behind the Necron Immortals. The Canoptek Harvest has deployed over on the Necrons' right flank. We have the Wraiths looking to move forward as quickly as possible, and they are supported by the Canoptek Spider and the Scarab Bases. These Wraiths are already threatening this objective. The Necrons do of course have 15 warriors mounted in a Knight Scythe in reserve. Meanwhile, the Eldar forces have also deployed, with the Dark Reapers taking up an excellent firing position in this ruined Imperial building in the centre. At the foot of the building, the Seer Council look grimly on as the Necrons march forwards. We have 2 squads of Dire Avengers in their Wave Serpents on the Eldar right flank. They are backed up by the Fire Dragons in their Wave Serpent, and it looks like the Warp Spiders are looking to leap forward, perhaps to engage in a game of cat and mouse with the deadly Canoptek Harvest. Meanwhile, in the skies above, the Swooping Hawks are looking for an opportunity to deep strike. The Eldar are strongly holding this objective, but there are 2 more that the Necrons have almost overrun already. The Necrons deployed first, so unless the Eldar can seize the initiative, we go into Necrons turn 1. And with the roll of a 5, the Eldar failed to seize the initiative and the Necrons have completed their first movement phase. Over on their right flank, the Canoptek Harvest are moving forward as quickly as possible. The Wraiths have moved forward 12 inches, overrunning this objective, and the Canoptek Spider and the Scarabs have moved up 6 inches in support. The Spider has created another base of Scarabs and has also given the entire Harvest reanimation protocols. In the centre, despite having moved through cover thanks to being part of a Reclamation Legion, the Immortals managed to roll 2 1s and a 2. They have failed to advance from the parapet of this bunker, but on the left flank the Necrons have all moved forward. These warriors have advanced, overrunning another objective. They are supported by the Overlord on his command barge. This Ghost Ark has moved up 6 inches. It's preparing to reanimate some warriors if necessary. And on the far left, the Tomb Blades have moved forward, taking cover behind this defended ridge. The Necrons are in a good position, holding 2 out of the 3 objectives. They are looking to be a very tough proposition for the heavily outnumbered Eldar. With no psychic phase, we go straight into Necron shooting phase, turn 1. End of Necron shooting phase, turn 1, and with the wily Eldar deploying deep in their own deployment zone, the Necrons found all of their weaponry out of range, so they decided to continue their advance. But with 1s being rolled by these warriors and the Immortals and the Wraiths, the advance appears to have been infected with lethargy. Only the Scarabs managed to move up 5 inches. With no assaults, that brings Necron's turn 1 to a close. They're happy that they are strongly in possession of 2 objectives, but first blood is still available. Let's see how the Eldar respond going into Eldar Craftworlds turn 1. End of Eldar movement phase turn 1, and it looks like the Eldar are reluctant to meet the advance of the Reclamation Legion head on. They have decided to focus their attentions on the rapidly approaching Wraiths. The Warp Spiders have warp jumped forwards, and the Seer Council are advancing through the central ruins as the Dark Reapers prepare to give fire. Meanwhile, the 3 Eldar Grav tanks, they have all moved round to bring their Serpent Shields into range of the Wraiths. The Wraiths are going to sustain a lot of incoming firepower. They obviously have their 3+ invulnerable. They also have reanimation protocols. Will it be enough? We shall see. But first, the Seer Council realise that their psychic might could well make all the difference in this battle as we go into Eldar Craftworld Psychic Phase, turn 1. End of Eldar Psychic Phase turn 1, and the Seer Council have put on a formidable display of psychic might. With 17 warp charges, the first Farseer summoned up a warp charge for Eldritch Storm, which tore to pieces 6 of the Necron warriors advancing near this objective. He then proceeded to put Fortune on the Seer Council, which the Necrons failed to deny, and then he continued by putting Guide on the Warp Spiders. Then the other Farseer, at great personal risk to himself, is using Sanctic Demonology in this battle. He has successfully put Sanctuary on the Seer Council. They now have a 3+ rerollable invulnerable save, and the Eldar are very satisfied with their performance in their first psychic phase. Let's see how they get on going into Eldar Craftworld shooting phase turn 1. End of Eldar shooting phase turn 1, and all 3 Wave Serpents open fire with their Bright Lances and discharge their Serpent Shields. They manage to take down a single Wraith, then fire from the Dark Reapers, and the Seer Council, who ran forwards and hurled their Singing Spears, managed to do no damage at all. The 3+ invulnerable save and the reanimation protocols make the Wraiths incredibly tough. But the Warp Spiders fared a lot better. Under the effect of Guide, they managed to tear apart 2 more of the Necron constructs with their monofilament weapons. But there is 1 Wraith remaining. That is disappointing. The Eldar thought that they had enough firepower here to wipe them out, although the Necrons did very well with their saves. That brings Eldar shooting phase turn 1 to a close. We have one matter to deal with in the assault phase as the warp spiders prepare to move. Let's see where they go to. Eldar Craftworlds assault phase turn 1. End of Eldar assault phase turn 1, and the warp spiders have leapt back. They are happy to rely on their mobility to strike and fade. That brings Eldar turn 1 to a close. Neither side has managed to get first blood yet. The Necrons still have 2 objectives. The Eldar have 1. This battle could certainly go either way as we go into Necrons turn 2. Start of Necrons turn 2, and a shadow falls over the Immortals in the centre as the Night Scythe arrives from reserve. Containing 15 Necron warriors, it has moved 36 inches straight to the centre point of this battlefield. That could be very, very useful reinforcements for the Reclamation Legion as we go into Necrons movement phase turn 2. End of Necrons movement phase turn 2, and their implacable advance continues over on their left flank. The Tomb Blades have moved over this defended ridge, which is now occupied by the Ghost Ark containing the Necron warriors. The Ghost Ark has also managed to resurrect 1 warrior into this squad that was hit by Eldritch Storm. They have decided to take cover and hold this objective while their Overlord hovers past on his command barge. In the centre, with a 6-inch move through cover roll, the Immortals are finally advancing. They may well give some fire. Meanwhile, the last Canoptek Wraith is throwing itself towards the Seer Council. It's not holding out much hope of taking too many of the Eldar Seers out, but it may be able to tie them up and prevent them from summoning Eldritch Storm or any of the other Witchfire powers they have. Meanwhile, the rest of the Canoptek Harvest is also moving. The Spider has moved forward through cover. It's still holding this objective. It has summoned another base of Scarabs. There are now 5 bases, and it has once again given them reanimation protocols. The Necrons, they're still holding 2 objectives. They still have the advantage. They are hoping for an effective turn of firing. Let's see. Necron shooting phase turn 2. End of Necron shooting phase turn 2, and it has been a very disappointing phase for the Necrons. This Ghost Ark and the Night Scythe targeted the nearest Wave Serpent with their weaponry. It jinked and sustained no damage, but it did take a single glancing hit from the Gauss cannon on the Catacomb command barge. The 3 Tomb Blades also fired into the centre, attempting to target the Seer Council, but had no effect, and the psychic protection that the Seer Council have summoned about themselves easily protected them from the 3 wounds they sustained from long-range fire from the Necron Immortals Gauss blasters. Meanwhile, the Scarabs have run forwards. That was extremely disappointing for the Necrons. Let's hope they can put in a better performance as the Canoptek Wraith prepares to charge the Seer Council in Necron's assault phase turn 2. End of Necron's assault phase turn 2, and the Canoptek Wraith successfully made its charge into the Seer Council. It took no damage from their overwatch of Singing, Spears and Shuriken fire, but the 2 wounds it inflicted were easily saved by the Eldar Psyker's 3+ rerollable invulnerable save. But the Psyker's return attacks were once again foiled by the Wraith's own 3+ invulnerable save. No damage was inflicted, they remain locked, and the Canoptek Wraith has done what it wanted to do. The Seer Council is locked in assault. That brings a very disappointing turn 2 for the Necrons to a close. First blood is still available as we go into Eldar Craftworlds turn 2. Start of Eldar Craftworlds turn 2, and with the roll of a 1, the Swooping Hawks have obviously decided that the time is not right for them to descend just yet. They remain in reserve as we go into Eldar Craftworlds movement phase turn 2. End of Eldar movement phase turn 2, and the Eldar are deploying to hold back the rapidly approaching tide of Necrons, starting on their right flank with both squads of Dire Avengers deploying from their Wave Serpents. They are hoping to cut down the Tomb Blades, while their Wave Serpents use their Twin Link Bright Lances to take out the Ghost Ark. In the central building, the Dark Reapers are seriously considering trying to shoot down the Night Scythe. The Night Scythe is carrying 15 Necron warriors, the Ghost Ark another 10. The Eldar are concerned that if all of these warriors deploy, their small squads will be overrun. We shall see. The Seer Council remain locked. They are hoping that they can deal with this Canoptek Wraith this turn as the Fire Dragons move past in their Wave Serpent, and over on the far left the Warp Spiders leap forwards. They are going to attempt to take out the Canoptek Spider. We think we will see how they get on, but first we have another Eldar Psychic Phase. Eldar Psychic Phase, turn 2. End of Eldar Psychic Phase, turn 2, and with 15 warp charges, the Seer Council easily managed to put both Sanctuary and Fortune on themselves. They, once again, are nigh indestructible, and they also put Guide on the Warp Spiders in their quest to take out the Canoptek Spider. The Eldar have complete psychic dominance. The Necrons have failed abysmally to deny anything, perhaps unsurprisingly, as we go into Eldar Shooting Phase, turn 2. End of Eldar Shooting Phase, turn 2, and it has been a good phase for the Eldar. Although it started poorly as both Wave Serpents targeted the Ghost Ark with their Bright Lances and had no effect, and even more surprisingly, the hail of Shuriken fire unleashed by both squads of Dire Avengers did not manage to down a single Tomb Blade. But that was the only disappointing part of the phase, as the Dark Reapers managed an impressive 4 penetrating hits on the Night Scythe. The combination of their inescapable accuracy and their Reaper rangefinders meant that they, in the end, had very little trouble in shooting down the Necron Flyer. And another great performance from the Warp Spiders, as well as they tore apart the Tomb Spider with their Death Spinners. As its Bright Lance was not needed, the Wave Serpent containing the Fire Dragons decided to move flat out, and it looks like the Eldar are beginning to flank the Necron advance. The Eldar are aware that the 15 warriors contained in the Night Scythe are not destroyed. They just go back into ongoing reserves, but that at least puts them a long way from influencing the battle for a while at least. We have one ongoing assault going into Eldar Assault Phase, turn 2. End of Eldar Assault Phase, turn 2, and the Psychic Powers have once again protected the Seer Council from the attack of the Canoptek Wraith. In return, the Eldar Psychics have managed to do a single wound, but they're disappointed not to finish it off. They remain locked in combat as the Wraith is of course fearless. The Warp Spiders, finishing off the turn, did a small jump of 4 inches to form a screen in front of the Wave Serpent containing the Fire Dragons. And that is the end of Eldar turn 2. It's been a good turn for the Eldar. They have managed to achieve First Blood. They are glad to see that the Night Scythe is down and the Tomb Spider, and surely this Wraith cannot last too much longer. The Necrons, they have a lot of work to do going into Necrons turn 3. Start of Necrons turn 3, and the 15 warriors that were forced into ongoing reserves thanks to the destruction of the Night Scythe have marched on to the battlefield. It is a huge relief to the Eldar that they have been forced all the way back to the Necrons' own board edge. If they had been allowed to appear in the heart of the Eldar position, combined with the imminent attack from this flank, that could have been very, very nasty for the Eldar. That is a good result. The Necrons are frustrated. Let's see what they do. Necrons movement phase, turn 3. End of Necrons movement phase, turn 3, and this squad of warriors, happily sitting on this objective in cover, has had another warrior resurrected by the Ghost Ark. The Ghost Ark itself has moved down the face of these cliffs and disgorged its cargo of Necron warriors. They are going to try to wipe out some Dire Avengers with a volley of Gauss fire. Meanwhile, the Tomb Blades, they have got their particle beamers trained on the other squad of Dire Avengers, and the Overlord has ordered his command barge to move forward at full speed. He is swinging the Void Reaper and hoping to carve through this Wave Serpent. The Wraith remains locked in combat with the Seer Council, and the rest of the Necrons appear to have prioritised the Warp Spiders. They've seen how much damage they can do, so the Immortals, they are marching towards them, preparing to unleash a volley from their Gauss blasters, and then the Scarabs are hoping to charge in and drag down a couple more. Looks like the Necrons still have plenty of resources at their disposal. Let's see what they do. Necrons shooting phase, turn 3. End of Necron shooting phase turn 3, and the massed firepower that was so concerning the Eldar appears to have come into effect over on the Necron's left flank, as the Ghost Ark and the squad of warriors that just disembarked from it managed to easily wipe out the first squad of Dire Avengers. The Tomb Blades open fire on the other squad of Dire Avengers, taking out the Exarch and one more Aspect Warrior, but the 3 survivors refuse to flee. The Overlord on his command barge targeted the Wave Serpent that he is going to attempt to charge, but had no effect, and the only other firing came from the Immortals, who managed to cut down 2 Warp Spiders and wound the Exarch as the Scarabs prepare to charge. The Necron warriors advancing from the Necrons deployment zone. They ran, but they only managed 2 inches. They are still a long way from the fight, but the Necrons have started to inflict some meaningful damage on the Eldar. Let's see if that continues going into Necron's assault phase turn 3. End of Necron's assault phase turn 3, and the Overlord guided the Catacomb command barge in a charge against the Wave Serpent. Void Reaper easily carved through its armour plating, wrecking the Eldar Grav tank, but the Overlord should be concerned as the Seer Council have finished off the last Canoptech Wraith, and they have consolidated straight towards him. It looks like the Eldar Seers want to decapitate this Reclamation Legion. Meanwhile, the Warp Spiders were left regretting their decision not to flicker jump away when they were targeted by the Immortals, as the Scarabs ploughed into them and managed to drag down 3 of the Eldar Aspect Warriors after the Warp Spiders had only managed to inflict a single wound on the Scarabs. But the Warp Spiders passed morale and they have hit and run. They are continuing to press into the advancing Necron forces. That brings Necrons turn 3 to a close. This battle is still incredibly finely poised. We have no idea who is going to emerge triumphant as we go into Eldar Craftworlds turn 3. Start of Eldar turn 3, and the Eldar are disappointed that once again the Swooping Hawks have failed to descend from the heavens. They will just have to continue without them for the time being, going into Eldar movement phase turn 3. End of Eldar movement phase turn 3, and in a surprising move, this Wave Serpent has decided it is not going to sit back. Defensively, it has boosted over the advancing Necrons and is going to give fire with its Bright Lance, or perhaps even go for an objective grab later in the game. Meanwhile, the last 3 Dire Avengers, they were disappointed with their fire when they disembarked from the Wave Serpent. They are going to try again to see if they can cut down the Tomb Blades. Meanwhile, the Necron Overlord finds himself surrounded by vengeful Eldar Seers. The Seer Council are determined to take him out this turn. The Dark Reapers have plenty of targets. They have not decided where they are going to add their fire yet, but the Warp Spiders and the newly deployed Fire Dragons are definitely going to be targeting the Necron Immortals. The Fire Dragons have been biding their time, embarked in their Wave Serpent. Now they have deployed. They want to take out as many Necrons as possible. This could be a very effective turn from the Eldar. Let's see, Eldar Psychic phase turn 3. End of Eldar Psychic phase turn 3, and it has been another truly impressive performance from the Seer Council. The 2 Farseers had 17 warp charges to use, and they started off with a combined effort putting Sanctuary and Fortune and Guide onto themselves and the rest of the Warlocks in the Seer Council. Then the Farseer, using Sanctic Demonology, took a risk and summoned up a Vortex of Doom with 5 dice. Somehow he avoided Perils of the Warp by rolling a 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. He was successful. He was targeting the Overlord, but the Vortex scattered and sucked 2 Tomb Blades into oblivion. Then the other Farseer joined in, summoning up a Warp Charge for Eldritch Storm, which tore apart the last Tomb Blade, along with 3 Necron Warriors from this squad, and also inflicted a glancing hit on the Ghost Ark. That was a very, very impressive psychic phase. Let's see if the Singing Spears, under the influence of Guide, can take out the Necron Overlord in Eldar Shooting phase turn 3. End of Eldar Shooting phase turn 3, and the Seer Council launch their Singing Spears at The Necron Overlord, he opted to take the hits himself, and he was luckily only wounded once, but the Seer Council intend to charge in and finish him off in assault. Meanwhile, the last 3 Dire Avengers, they managed to cut down a single Necron warrior that was cresting this ridge. This Wave Serpent managed to cut down a single Immortal with its twin link bright lances, and 4 more went down to deadly accurate fire as usual from the Dark Reapers. Meanwhile, this Wave Serpent managed to miss with its twin link bright lance, and the Warp Spiders were very disappointed not to take out a single Immortal either, but the Fire Dragons running forward managed to melt another 2 with their fusion guns, but there are still 3 Immortals left. The Eldar were hoping to wipe that squad out, but this battle could well have shifted in their favour. Let's see if they can complete their task and take out the Necron Commander in Eldar Assault Phase Turn 3. End of Eldar Assault Phase Turn 3, and the Seer Council successfully charged into the Overlord on his Catacomb Command Barge, and with all of their Singing Spears and Witchblades they hacked the Necron Commander down. That is Slay the Warlord, and it is a great result for the Eldar, as the Necron attack over this side of the battlefield is now looking quite weak. The Seer Council have had an excellent battle so far. In other news, the few remaining Warp Spiders have hopped back. They are concerned that there appear to be a lot more Necron warriors advancing upon them from this direction, but the Eldar are happy. They are in control of this objective. They would be in control of this objective if they weren't nervous about getting close to the vortex. The Necrons are only in control of this objective, and of course the Eldar have managed to achieve both First Blood and Slay the Warlord. It looks like the Eldar are in the driver's seat. How will the Necrons respond going into Necrons Turn 4? Start of Necrons Turn 4, and the Seer Council are very relieved that they prudently consolidated away from this objective, as the vortex scattered and has landed right on the wrecks of the Wave Serpent and the Command Barge. That could have been a terrible blow to the Eldar if that had destroyed the Seer Council. The Necrons could use a bit better luck than that going into Necrons Movement Phase Turn 4. End of Necrons Movement Phase Turn 4, and the Necrons are not out of this battle yet by a long way. They are trying to claim all 3 objectives on the table. This Necron warrior squad is advancing towards this objective. They have had 2 warriors resurrected by the Ghost Ark. They may well try to take out the Wave Serpent, while the Ghost Ark tries to take out the last few Dire Avengers. But if this squad of Necron warriors that has just moved around the edge of this defended rocky rise can take out the Wave Serpent, then they may be able to add their fire somewhere else. Either way, the Necrons are continuing to press home their attack over this side of the battlefield, and it looks like the Necrons are also planning to reclaim this objective from the Eldar as well. The 3 remaining Immortals, they have advanced straight into the face of the Fire Dragons. They are going to open fire with their Gauss Blasters, and with a good move through cover roll, the 15 warriors are also advancing to add their firepower. These 2 squads may well be able to wipe out the Fire Dragons, and the Scarabases, they are still here, and they have decided they are going to take out this Wave Serpent. This turn could see all 3 objectives back in Necron hands. We shall see as we go into Necron Shooting Phase Turn 4. End of Necron Shooting Phase Turn 4, and these warriors fired without effect on the Wave Serpent, but the close range fire of this squad of warriors wrecked the Eldar Grav vehicle, and the Ghost Ark did very well, as with a salvo from its Gauss Flare array managed to cut down all 3 Dire Avengers that were sheltering behind this wall. The Necrons, they are strong behind this wall of wrecked vehicles. But of course, on just the other side, we have the Eldar Seer Council and the Dark Reapers. Meanwhile, the advancing Necron warriors managed to cut down 2 Fire Dragons, and the 3 Immortals managed to cut down another and wound the Exarch. These Immortals may well charge in to the few remaining Aspect warriors here, and of course the Scarabs will also be attempting to eat their way through this Wave Serpent in Necron's Assault Phase, turn 4. End of Necron's Assault Phase, turn 4, and the Immortals managed to successfully charge the Fire Dragons, one Immortal shrugging off a fusion gun hit on Overwatch thanks to reanimation protocols, but the Necrons could do no damage to the Aspect Warriors, and in return the Fire Dragons could do no damage to the Necron Immortals. They remain locked, but the Scarabs made their charge and easily inflicted multiple glancing hits, enough to destroy this Wave Serpent twice over. And that brings Necron's turn 4 to a close. They have had a good turn, and this battle is once again very close. Let's see what the Eldar do. Eldar Craftworlds, turn 4. Start of Eldar turn 4, and the Seer Council are much relieved as the Vortex of Doom scatters directly away from them 6 inches. That was of grave concern to the Eldar Psykers. Meanwhile, more good news for the Eldar as the Swooping Hawks have arrived. They have deep struck, and with a hail of grenades taken out 2 of these Necron warriors. It looks like the Eldar have decided that it is time to take this objective. Let's see, going into Eldar movement phase, turn 4. End of Eldar movement phase, turn 4, and it looks like the Eldar's plan now is to wipe out all of the Necrons over this side of the battlefield and claim the 2 objectives here. That will be enough to guarantee them victory. It's unfortunate, but the Fire Dragons have been abandoned. They are surrounded by Scarabs, they are locked in combat with the Immortals, and a huge squad of warriors is advancing. The Eldar have decided they cannot hold this objective, so the Warp Spiders have leapt forward and they have moved a massive 17 inches. They're going to open fire on this squad of warriors in conjunction with the newly arrived Swooping Hawks. Meanwhile, the Seer Council, they are advancing through this graveyard of wrecked vehicles. They want to take out this squad of warriors, and they're hoping that the Dark Reapers can deal with the Ghost Ark. We shall see. Let's see if the Seer Council can continue its incredible run of form in Eldar Psychic Phase, turn 4. End of Eldar Psychic Phase, turn 4, and with 14 warp charges, the Seer Council began with their familiar ritual of casting Sanctuary and Fortune and Guide. They put Sanctuary and Fortune on themselves, and they have put Guide on the Dark Reapers. That left enough warp charges left over for the Farseer to unleash another Eldritch Storm, tearing apart 2 more Necron warriors. Another efficient phase from the Eldar. Let's see how effective their shooting phase is. Eldar shooting phase, turn 4. End of Eldar shooting phase, turn 4, and the phase opened well as, thanks to Guide, the Dark Reapers managed to get 6 hits with their Starshot missiles against the Ghost Ark. They got 1 glance and 1 pen, and the pen was enough, as with the roll of a 6 the Ghost Ark exploded. But the rest of the Eldar shooting was disappointing. The Seer Council had no effect as they targeted the Necron warriors with their Seeing Spears, and the Warp Spiders and the Swooping Hawks only managed to take out 1 Necron warrior each. They were hoping for a few more of this squad to be cut down. As we go into Eldar Assault Phase, turn 4, we have 1 ongoing assault as the Fire Dragons take on the Immortals, and perhaps crucially, the charge of the Seer Council into these warriors. Eldar Craftworlds Assault Phase, turn 4. End of Eldar Assault Phase, turn 4, and the Seer Council were left very disappointed indeed as they successfully made their charge and took no damage from Overwatch. They inflicted lots of wounds on the Necron warriors, but between their armour saves and critically their reanimation protocols, the Eldar did not manage to fell a single Necron. In return, the Necrons could do nothing, unsurprisingly, against a 3+ rerollable save, but they remain locked. The Seer Council were hoping to sweep and destroy this squad of Necrons. Meanwhile, in the ongoing assault, neither the Fire Dragons nor the Immortals could inflict any wounds on the opposition. They remain locked as well. This battle is still very close. The Necrons are holding this objective. This objective is contested, and currently, technically, no one is holding this objective. The Eldar have first blood and slay the Warlord, but this battle is still very close. Let's see what the Necrons do going into Necrons turn 5. Start of Necron's turn 5, and the Dark Reapers looked on in horror as the vortex appeared to be moving in their direction. Fortunately, the roll was a double 4 and it collapsed in on itself before it got to the Aspect Warriors. The Necrons could have really used that vortex settling nicely over the Dark Reapers, but they will make do. Necron's movement phase, turn 5. End of Necron's movement phase, turn 5, and it looks like the end for the Fire Dragons as the Scarab swarms emerge from the wrecked Wave Serpent. They are moving in to charge them from behind. Surely the Aspect Warriors will be consumed. Meanwhile, the large squad of Necron Warriors has altered the angle of its advance. They are going to attempt to drive away the swooping hawks with a long-range volley of Gauss fire. Meanwhile, the 4 remaining warriors in this squad, they're still holding the objective. They are hoping they can take out the remaining warp spiders with a volley. And of course the only other Necron units, the Immortals and this squad of warriors over this side of the battlefield, are locked in combat. Let's see if the Necrons' plan works out in Necrons shooting phase, turn 5. End of Necron shooting phase, turn 5, and only 6 of this large squad were in range and line of sight. They did well. They managed to cut down one swooping hawk and wound the Exarch, but these Aspect Warriors are going nowhere. These 4 warriors managed to shoot down one of the approaching warp spiders, and there was a moment of hope for the Necrons as the warp spiders failed their morale check, but with their reroll for being part of an Aspect host, they passed the second time with insane courage. So the Necrons have not managed to halt the Eldar pressure on this objective. Let's see if they fare better in the assault phase. Necron's assault phase, turn 5. End of Necron's assault phase, turn 5, and the Fire Dragons did well. They managed to take out one whole charging Scarab base, but then the attacks of the remaining 4 bases and the 3 Immortals was enough to cut down all of the remaining Eldar Aspect Warriors, and the Necrons are strongly holding this objective. Meanwhile, the Seer Council improved on their performance from last turn. They managed to hack down 2 Necron warriors for no loss in return, but frustratingly for the Eldar, these Necrons refuse to flee. And that brings Necron's turn 5 to a close. This battle is still finely poised. The Necrons are actually holding 2 objectives. The Eldar are not holding any. The Necrons are still in the lead. Can the Eldar take some objectives back off of them? Let's see. Eldar, turn 5. End of Eldar movement phase, turn 5, and the Eldar realise that with the Necrons holding this objective, they desperately need to take the 2 objectives over this side of the battlefield. The Swooping Hawks and the Warp Spiders are both closing in on these Necron warriors. 2 of them are also in line of sight of the Dark Reapers. Surely that will be enough to take out these 4 remaining warriors and give the Eldar this objective. And it's all up to the Seer Council dealing with the last few Necron warriors here if the Eldar are to claim this objective. We shall see, but first we have Eldar Psychic phase, turn 5. End of Eldar Psychic phase, turn 5, and with the Seer Council once again locked in combat. There were no Witchfire powers, so they settled in to their familiar routine of putting Sanctuary and Fortune on themselves. They have also put Guide on the Dark Reapers. Will they need it? We shall see in Eldar Shooting phase, turn 5. End of Eldar Shooting phase, turn 5, and the Dark Reapers did very well. They managed to cut down both Necron warriors that they could see, but the 2 remaining Necron warriors withstood all of the firepower of the Swooping Hawks and the Warp Spiders, and they were not damaged anymore thanks to reanimation protocols. In particular, the Warp Spiders managed 2 rending wounds, but the Necrons refused to fall. This is a nail-biter now, as the Swooping Hawks and the Warp Spiders are going to have to charge to destroy these Necrons and claim this objective. It all comes down to the assault phase, as the Seer Council are going to desperately try to take out these remaining Necron warriors as well, giving them this objective. We shall see. This is a truly critical phase. Eldar Assault phase, turn 5. End of Eldar Assault phase, turn 5, and it is with much relief that the two Necron warriors that were holding this objective have been slain. Both the Swooping Hawks and the Warp Spiders made their charges, but it took every single one of their attacks, going down to the very last dice roll, to take out both warriors, and the Eldar have finally claimed this objective. Meanwhile, the Seer Council managed to cut down another Necron warrior in their assault for no loss in return, but these three remaining warriors refuse to flee. But at the end of game turn 5, with the roll of a 2, this game has drawn to a close. The Necrons, they are holding one objective on the table, which is worth 3 points. They have not managed to get any bonus points in this battle. The Eldar are likewise holding one objective, but the difference is they managed to get a point for First Blood, and thanks to their destruction of the Overlord on his Catacomb command barge, they also get Slay the Warlord. This objective remains uncontested, but it's got to be said that the Eldar are looking far more likely to end up in control of it if this game were to continue. But the final score is 5 points to the Eldar, 3 points to the Necrons. The Eldar are victorious in this very tense and hard fought game. The star performance was surely put in by the Seer Council. They have struggled towards the end to deal with these warriors in assault, but they did very well psychically and in taking out the Necrons Warlord as well. Both of these armies have acquitted themselves particularly well. The Necrons were unfortunate to lose their Night Scythe and strand such a large and powerful unit right back at their board edge, but that's the way it goes sometimes. We hope you've enjoyed this game. It has been very, very tense indeed and great fun to play. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and we will keep producing as many Warhammer 40,000 battle reports as we can. See ya!